Week 10, ladies and gentlemen. Week 10, double digits. The season is flying by. Not a great thing, but at the same time, it has been a great season. We have week 10 on the deck. Welcome into the show, everybody. It is me, Ian Fritts, per usual. We have game previews for you. We have upset alerts, and we have the picks for this week. The picks this week. I started last week with an apology. I said, hey, Week 8 was not good to us in the picks. We did not do good in the picks. It was our only sub 500 week of the season. And I started last week's show with an apology. And what did I do? I bounced back. We were 11-7 in the picks last weekend, just winning money left and right. It was awesome. I feel like we're getting some momentum and we are rolling in the picks off of last week. Stay tuned for that segment, folks. Look, you look at the slate this weekend and you think to yourself, ooh, there's not a lot going on, not a lot of great games, not a lot of marquee matchups, if you will, not a lot of things that make you want to say that is a must-watch football game, okay? But this, ladies and gentlemen, these are the weeks where we get 7, 8 ranked teams, boom, out of the top 25. Fraud alert, fraud alert, fraud alert. Who is not for real? This weekend, when we think, you can probably go to the pumpkin patch this weekend. You can probably start prepping for Thanksgiving this weekend. Yeah, some people prep that early. This weekend is where you want to be on the couch watching week 10 of college football because it is going to be magnificent, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting you know. Hey, I'm just letting you know. When you feel like it's not going to be a great Saturday, that is when you get some of the greatest Saturdays in college football. We already had one earlier this week, week 3 or 4. We were thinking, this is kind of a sleepy Saturday. You can go do what you need to do. Come back to the house, you catch the 1 or 2 big-time games, and you'll be fine. What happened? Boom, upset here, upset there, upset everywhere. And that's what we're going to get this weekend in Week 10. Without further ado, drop down below and subscribe. Follow on the social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok as well. And we are going to jump into the game previews. And we're starting with, we got 2 of them for you. We're starting with Oklahoma at Tennessee. This, to me, is the biggest game of the weekend because this right here is a playoff eliminator. It is a 100% guaranteed the loser of this game is out of there. Get them out. Don't even need them sniffing near the playoffs. A 9-3 at best if one of these 2 teams wins. No, get them out of there. Get them out of the playoffs, okay? Look, it's not just the playoffs, though. This would basically completely eliminate them from the SEC title contention. Okay, they both have 2 SEC losses. 3, boom, not even close. 2 still maybe for SEC title. Okay, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. 3, get them out of here. Not even in the conversation, okay? Number 18, Oklahoma, going to Knoxville, Tennessee. Number 14, Tennessee. They are currently a 3.5-point favorite as we are speaking, or as I'm speaking to this thing we know as the iPhone. Not a sponsor, by the way. Can't be giving out free ads like that. And you're thinking, Ian, iPhone, Apple, they're like one of the biggest brands in the world. Well, still, hey, someday, maybe we are sponsored by Apple here on the Ian Fritz Show. Look, they're both technically still alive. I just called it a playoff eliminator. You would think, I don't think both of these teams are good enough to make it to the 12-team playoff anyways. But you win this game, you could still make some things happen for both of these teams. Finish 10-2, they're probably in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen. I think both of these teams lose at least one more game. One of them will lose one this weekend. Look, it's night game at Neyland Stadium. It's going to be a blackout. Tennessee's wearing their all black uniforms, which, hey, sidebar, I think those uniforms are atrocious. I think they are the worst blackout uniforms in all of college football. I'm just going to throw that out there. They stink. Okay, they are way overrated. They are way overrated. Now, do the players love them? Do they just feel good when they're in them? I think so. And does it get the crowd going? Does it get the fan base going? Does it get that stadium going? Does it even need more juice? It doesn't, but it gets more juice when they wear the blackout uniforms, even though they are garbage. Okay, it's going to be looking like throw up on your TV screen on Saturday night. But I think we're going to get a really good football game on Saturday night. We're jumping right in. If you're new here, we start with the visiting team, always here in the game previews. That is Oklahoma. We do a couple things that I know about these teams coming into the game. So some things that we can expect. If you expect these things, we want them to happen on Saturday. And then we have a couple questions we need answered on Saturday night if they want to win the football game. Okay. Oklahoma's up first. What do we know about the Oklahoma Sooners? Well, we know that the defense is incredible. Okay, the defense is incredible. And you're thinking, Ian, didn't Ole Miss just score 34 points? Ole Miss just scored 34 points on them. Ole Miss scored 34. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And that does not take away from the fact that this defense is still incredible, especially the front seven. We're going to get in statistics a little bit later, but I want to lead with one thing, okay? They're talking heads out there. Some of the major college football personalities, and I'm not so sure they watched the OU Ole Miss game last weekend. I did. I watched every second of it. You can go watch the game recap here on this channel if you want to learn more about that. There was one guy in particular, I believe the exact words he used were, man, it looked like Ole Miss was gashing Oklahoma in the run game. Ladies and gentlemen, Ole Miss averaged 2.6 yards per carry in that football game. I'm not a mathematician. I am not a mathematician, but I'm not sure 2.6 is exactly what you want to be getting if you're running the football. I'm not even sure what would that wouldn't qualify, whatever. One of the QU words. It wouldn't do that. It wouldn't qualify for picking up a first down if you got that 3 times in a row, 2.6 yards. That is the opposite of gashing. That is Oklahoma gashing Ole Miss in their run defense, okay? They had one 30-yard run. Other than that, you take that away, Oklahoma lived in the backfield, 14 tackles for loss against Ole Miss last weekend. So the defense, again, people are saying, hey, disappointment last week against Ole Miss. And maybe it was a disappointment from what they saw earlier in the season. But it was not getting gashed. They were not getting gashed. They were not getting bruised. They were not getting worked from start to finish. Trinidad Chambliss made them look like that. Okay, he's that good. But down-to-down basis, no. That is not what happened. Don't listen to those people that just are on a very high platform, very high pedestal, and they deserve to be there. They deserve to be there. I consume their content. But hey, I'm just throwing this out there. People are going to be all on Tennessee this weekend because of what Ole Miss did to Oklahoma's defense last weekend. I'm just going to throw it out there. The defense from Oklahoma, in spite of what you saw on Saturday afternoon or didn't see for some people, they did not get gashed. They did not get bruised left and right. There were 1 or 2 plays that Ole Miss hit. Gonna happen when you play good offense. But from a down-to-down basis, Oklahoma's defense controlled the majority of that football game. And because of that, I believe in this defense still. That may have been a question coming into this game if you thought they got gashed and bruised and beat up against Ole Miss. That may have been a question. Hey, how do they respond? No, not for me. It's a known fact that they're going to be good on Saturday night. Okay? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. They're number 2 in yards per rush allowed. This is including last weekend, by the way, where some people thought they get gashed against Ole Miss, where Kawan Lacey was having what he wanted in the run game. That was one of what the talking heads said after the game. He said Kawan Lacey was doing whatever he wanted to in the ground game. Kawan Lacey was not. He had one 30-yard run. Other than that, he had 26 carries for 50 yards. Not a good situation if you're Kawan Lacey, but somehow some people took that and said, hey, Kawan Lacey doing whatever he wants. No. Number 2 in yards per rush allowed this Oklahoma defense, including the Ole Miss game. Number 3 in rush yards per game. They're the best defense in the entire country. And if you don't know what best means, that is number 1, boom, number sign, 1 in yards per play. Great metric. That is on a down-to-down basis. They don't give up explosives, and then they force negative plays. That's what that means. They're number 3 in points per play. So even if you have a lot of plays or you don't have a lot of plays, either way you take it, they're not letting you score the football, okay? They're really good at forcing field goals instead of touchdowns. They're 5th in stoppage rate. At the time of this, they were 5th in stoppage rate. That has now since been updated to 9th in stoppage rate. Still a really good number, a really, really good number to be at. And if you don't know what stoppage rate is, that is the percentage of drives that the opposing offense does not get a touchdown on. Okay, I believe Oklahoma's about 78%. Incredible number. Incredible numbers. Okay. Another one. They're the best at sacking the quarterback. Okay. They are number one in the entire country at getting after the quarterback. They're the best at forcing negative plays. They call them the havoc plays. Okay. They have more than any other team in the entire country in terms of negative plays. Now, there is a havoc play on the back end that is tracking forced fumbles and interceptions. Not great at that, Oklahoma. That is a gripe. That is a complaint about this defense. But on the front end, they wreak havoc, and they've done it in every game they have played. So what do I know? I know I'm getting a good performance from this defense on Saturday night. Okay, second thing I know is John Mateer might be blind. Okay, he might need some surgeries to happen this week for Oklahoma to be successful on offense. Okay, I believe in their defense. I believe in Brent Venables to get some things done on the defensive side of the football. What I'm worried about, what I know based on what I've seen, is that John Mateer is not seeing. Okay, I can see John Mateer, and based on my eyes, 20/20 vision here, John Mateer has the worst vision in the country right now. Okay, he is not seeing open guys left and right. If he was out there just offense against nobody, okay, I'm not sure he would be making the correct decision right now. That's how bad it has been the past 3 weeks since his surgery. He said it last night. He said, no, it's not my thumb. That's not an excuse. My thumb feels fine. Trust me, it's not. Okay, I just need to play better. Yeah, you do, John. You do need to play better if you want to win a Neyland Stadium on a Saturday night in blackout mode for Tennessee, okay? So that's something we know. We know the defense is going to be there for Oklahoma on Saturday. And we know John Mateer needs to be better. Shocking revelation, okay? Shocking revelation. Now, I keep coming back to why has he not seen the field as good as he once was? Okay, that Toby Keith song. I ain't as good as I once was. Not about seeing the football field, but it applies to John Mateer right now. He ain't as good as he once was, okay? And I think it's because he threw a bunch of interceptions earlier in the year because he was being aggressive, making throws in tight windows. His guys weren't in some cases his receivers weren't in the correct spot, and that became an interception, okay? I'm wondering if that's in his head a little bit. This is clearly a mental thing and an eyeball thing for John Mateer. He needs to be better on Saturday night if Oklahoma has any chance of winning this game on the road. Okay, couple questions. First, what does the offensive line look like? Okay, if you don't know, if you don't keep up with the Oklahoma offensive line, well, you're in tune because I do. Look, last week they had two true freshmen at left tackle and a right tackle. The right tackle is making his first start ever in his first time ever playing right tackle at the collegiate level. He'd been in there for guard a couple games here and there. He did play tackle in high school, but it's a different animal when you get thrown in against Ole Miss, and he held up pretty well, ladies and gentlemen. Now the other one, making his third or fourth start, struggled a little bit. Do they make any moves? Do they get their veteran Derek Simmons at right tackle back and maybe move that pup right tackle over to left tackle and replace the other pup? I don't know what they're going to do, but Tennessee is, you know how Oklahoma was number one in sack rate? Tennessee is number 4 in sack rate in the entire country. So those tackles, those true freshmen, if those are guys trotting out there. Oh, and also the left guard, they started swapping him left and right. One's a junior, the other one's a redshirt freshman. They're flipping them left and right, series by series. Who on a whim, you make a mistake, boom, you're out of the game, putting the other guy in. That's not a great place to be if you're the left guard, okay? Especially against this Tennessee front that can get after it. They can get after it, ladies and gentlemen. What does that offensive line look like? It's got to hold up on Saturday. Can they just stalemate Tennessee? That would be a win for Oklahoma on Saturday in the trenches on the offensive side of the football. Okay? Second question. I just mentioned it. John Mateer, he's been a little bit blind lately. Did he get surgery this week? I would love to know. And we're not going to know if he actually got surgery. We're not going to know if he even needed surgery. He does. Until we watch this game on Saturday. So you're going to be sitting on your couch right now and you're going to be thinking, hey, man, Ian told me John Mateer is not seeing the field well. I know that because of him, okay? And you're going to be watching and you're going to see John Mateer sail a ball over Jaren Kanik's head by 10 or 15 yards, and you're going to think, ooh, not great. And then you're going to see a guy running down the sideline in triple coverage, and you're going to see John Mateer try to fit that ball in there, boom, interception. You're going to think, ooh, why didn't he just take Isaiah Satanga in the flats there? There was no one within 30 yards of him. You're going to think, oh, remember when Ian told me his eyes weren't working correctly? He did not get surgery. That's the conclusion we might come to. However, on the flip side of that, you may think, oh, wow, what a throw by John Mateer. Jaren Kanak soaring over the middle. They did a little deception here on the sideline, got Jaren Kanak wide open in the middle of the field. The play's designed to go to him, and John Mateer, boom, pump fakes the little bubble screen, boom, throws it over the top. It's a 75-yard touchdown to Jaren Kanak. You're going to think, oh, John Mateer got his eyes fixed this week in practice, and he's ready to roll. Watch out for the rest of the football game, okay? If we get those answers, we will know who wins this football game. Now, bouncing over to Tennessee, folks, what do we know about the Volunteers? Number one, as much as I just dogged on their uniforms, just poo-pooed all over those blackout, poo-poo, pun intended, those blackout uniforms. This stadium is going to be shaking. It might register on the Richter scale. If you don't know what the Richter scale is, measures earthquakes, okay? The stadium may register on the Richter scale. The decibels may be in the hundreds, triple digits, maybe triple digits with 110 on there. 110 plus decibels we may be expecting at Neyland Stadium on Saturday night. That's what we can expect. This place is going to be by far the craziest atmosphere Oklahoma has played in this year. They went to South Carolina, 11 o'clock kick. They played Texas at the Cotton Bowl. Boom, half of it's your fans. Okay, this is their true first road test. It's at night. It's in Neyland Stadium. Rocky Top's going to be blaring the entire game. They're wearing their blackout uniforms. The fans are rowdy. It's going to be rocking, ladies and gentlemen. That is the one thing, the number one thing I can guarantee about Tennessee on Saturday night. That stadium is going to be on fire. Number two, what do I know about Tennessee for this matchup on Saturday night? They have the best wide receiver group that Oklahoma has faced this entire season. And I feel like I've said that. Oklahoma's been previewed in a bunch of games because they've been in a bunch of high-profile games. You think Michigan, Auburn, Texas, last week against Ole Miss. All of those have been in the top 3 or 4 games of the weekend each week, and they continue to have these matchups. And I feel like I've said this is the best wide receiver room they've faced each week. Each week, they faced a better wide receiver room than the week before. It is no different this week. Chris Brazzell, Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, all would be the number one wide receiver on Oklahoma's football team. And they would all, other than against Auburn, possibly be the number one wide receiver on any of the teams OU has faced so far this season. And they are all on this team. They are all on the team named Tennessee Volunteers, okay? So if you're Tennessee, you got to exploit that. And I believe Josh Heupel knows this. I'm not telling Josh Heupel anything he doesn't know. But I'm telling you, who may not know, that this wide receiver core, those 3 guys, all over 500 yards on the season, all in the top 10 in SEC receiving yards in the season, they will attack this, especially whoever lines up in the slot. And I believe, for the most part, that is Braylon Staley. They move them all around. They all play multiple spots on the field, but Braylon Staley could be the guy that has, if this goes Tennessee way on Saturday night, he could have 200, 250 in the receiving category of this football game because they're going to attack the guy in the slot and get on Oklahoma safeties because that is the weakness in coverage for Oklahoma. The corners, for the most part, been pretty solid, okay? A lot of people saying, again, talking heads didn't watch the Oklahoma Ole Miss game, saying, yeah, the corners got exploited a little bit on Saturday afternoon. That's just box score watching, folks. That is just box score watching. If you were watching, the corners were actually really good for Oklahoma on Saturday. It was the safeties who got lost in coverage a little bit. The linebackers got lost in coverage a little bit. That is where they were at fault if you're Oklahoma. So Tennessee's going to do the same thing Ole Miss did. Get the matchups they want with these 3 stud wide receivers and let them go to work, okay? That's what we know about Tennessee. Biggest question for Tennessee. This is by far the best defense they have faced all season long. This is by far the best team. I shouldn't say that. They faced Alabama and Georgia. Forget that last sentence. Don't. Hey. This, if they win, this will be the best team they have beaten. If they win, this will be the best team they have beaten. Not the best team they've played. They've played Georgia and Alabama, both better teams than Oklahoma. This is still the 3rd best team they've played this season. And it's definitely the best defense they have played this season. Now, Tennessee's been made one-dimensional in all their big games this season against Georgia, against Alabama, against Arkansas, and against Mississippi State. They all couldn't run the ball in those football games. Tennessee could not find the ground game in any of those football games. And for some part is because they could do whatever they want in the passing game, and they have done that in every single game this year. However, they have not had to face a pass rush like this Oklahoma Sooner front seven, okay? It is a top 5 unit in the entire country. Again, they lead the country in sack rate. However, Tennessee lead the country. I believe don't lead. They are fifth, top 5 in sack rate given up. So they don't let anybody touch Joey Aguilar. They are protecting exceptionally well. Does that continue on Saturday night? Biggest question for Tennessee. Does the protection continue to be as good as it has been? Because if Joey Aguilar has time, there are going to be guys wide open if they get matched up with the safety on Saturday night. Second biggest question. Joey Aguilar's legs. Okay, he's not the most mobile guy. He doesn't want him. That's not his first option, run. Okay, but he can. He's kind of like a Quinn Ewers-esque runner where it's not going to be his first option. It's not going to be his first outlet. But when he does, he can kind of get 15, 20 yards on you if you leave him alone. And that can hurt you on a 3rd and 12. Okay, how big are Joey Aguilar's legs in this game? So far, that's been the biggest weapon against Oklahoma all year long, is a quarterback that can run the football, scramble out of the pocket, make things happen when they're not there. How good is Joey Aguilar at the Houdini moments on Saturday? Trinidad Chambliss was unbelievable being Houdini there in the pocket, okay? Joey Aguilar, again, if we answer the first question, how good does the protection hold up? Does it continue to be really good? If the answer to that is yes, then Joey Aguilar doesn't have to use his legs very much. He can just dice them up from the pocket. If the answer is no, Joey Aguilar's legs are going to have to be huge in this football game for Tennessee. So those are the things I'm looking for Tennessee and Oklahoma. With all of that being said, I have to pick this football game. I have to predict a winner of this football game right now. No other choice. Can't wait till later in the week. I've got to do it right now because it's me and you. OU's going to go into Neyland Stadium on Saturday night, and they're going to win this football game. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on an even further branch. They're going to win this football game by 10 or more points. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. Now, a little bit of me is scared in saying that. But scared money don't make money. Is that the saying? That just disproves what I just said. OU's going to win regardless of whatever the last saying I just said was. I'm not very good with sayings. I butcher them all the time. OU wins on Saturday in Neyland Stadium. Statement win for Brent Venables this season. They win by more than 10 points. Next game up, it is Vanderbilt. Number 9, Vanderbilt on the road at number 20, Texas Longhorns. Texas is favored by 2.5 points at the moment. Vanderbilt 7-1, Texas 6-2. Woo! Who would have thought we'd been here at the beginning of the season? You look forward, boom, in your binoculars, all the way down to October. It's going to be November 1st on Saturday. You look down. There's going to be, November 1st on Saturday. You look down, boom, in your binoculars all the way to November 1st from week 1. Hey, we're getting ready for our Texas-Ohio State in week 1. And you pull out your binoculars and you see, oh, look at that. Vanderbilt, Texas, November 1st. And you see what you saw was Texas, number 1 in the country, Vanderbilt, 4-2, 4-3. Not a great season, but they're okay. But you saw number 1 Texas, 8-0, hosting Vanderbilt. You need to wipe your binoculars off. That's not what we have here. We have number 9 Vanderbilt and number 20 Texas, and that's controversial. Some people don't even think Texas should be in the top 50 right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure about that. Should they be 20? Debatable. We are living in a fantasy world right now where Vanderbilt is in the top 10 and Texas is not. What a crazy time we live in right now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a couple things. We continue to see here, wow, Vanderbilt, how are they doing this? This is incredible. This is unbelievable. And we should be saying that. That is the story this weekend. For all intents and purposes, for me in this football game, the story is, wow, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, incredible job what he is doing with that Nashville school right now. A bunch of smarties over there. And maybe that's why Clark Lee is working so well, because he knows how to get in the brain of a smart but not as talented football player, okay? That's all you need to win at Vanderbilt, apparently. Number 2, Texas, preseason number 1. We just talked about it. Been a disappointment. Back-to-back overtime wins. You're thinking, oh, wow, that's awesome. They know how to gut it out, grit it out, get a good win. Thinking, ooh, You look at their schedule. It was against Kentucky, oof, and then Mississippi State, oof. Yeah, not great. However, they won. They know how to gut out wins. You could say the same for Vanderbilt right now. They've had a couple close games. They gut out a win. Last week against Missouri, they gut out a win. Both of these teams find a way to win right now in close football games. Couple things for Vanderbilt to win this football game. Number one, Diego Pavia has to take care of that football, has to take care of the football. Occasionally, Diego Pavia, as fun as he is to watch, as awesome he is, as electric as he is as a football player, he gets a little loose with the football sometimes, a little loose in the passing game, a little loose with the hands, a little ball falls on the ground, boom, it's a fumble. Okay, now Texas has the ball on your own 12-yard line. Ooh, not a great situation. Against Alabama, their only loss this season, Vanderbilt was driving up and down the field on Alabama. 2 turnovers in the red zone by Diego Pavia cost them that football game against Alabama. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. Now, was that a byproduct of them being on the road? The noise got to them a little bit. Who knows? But you're on the road this weekend. You're on the road this weekend, so it can't happen again if you're Diego Pavia. For them to win, he's got to take care of the football. He's got to have no turnovers in this football game. Number 2, the defense for Vanderbilt. They have to continue to dominate against the run. Now, Texas has not been great running the football. They can't find it against Vanderbilt on Saturday. They cannot find their running game against Vanderbilt on Saturday. Those are the 2 keys to victory for Vanderbilt. Keys for Texas on Saturday morning. I believe this is an 11 a.m. kick. They must be aggressive offensively. You look at their games this season, and when they're having the most success offensively is when they are throwing that ball downfield, letting it rip. And I know it's a struggle. They can't be as aggressive as they want to be because the offensive line has been an issue, has been a problem for the majority of this season. However, I do not care. You got to be aggressive if you're Texas. You got to let it rip on Saturday morning. Okay, number 2, the defense has to just flat out forget about what happened last Saturday against Mississippi State, because that you look at their season so far. That is the outlier against Mississippi State. That's the outlier where they got gashed up and down the field, left and right, doesn't matter. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, folks. Could not stop it. That's going to have to just flat out change. It's going to have to flip on its head. They're going to have to find themselves playing defense like they did against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. That's what they need on Saturday night. Be aggressive offensively. Let it rip down the field. Let it rip down the field. And then number 2, defense just going to have to forget what happened 7 days ago against Mississippi State. Now, who wins this football game? The gut. As you all know, I only go by the gut here on the Ian Fritts Show. The gut's telling me Vanderbilt's going to go in to Texas and win this football game. So that's the official pick. But the mind right now is trying to get in here. It's trying to suppress the gut and tell me Texas is going to win. So if Texas does win, don't tell me that, hey, Ian, why'd you pick Vanderbilt? Don't come at me with that. I told you my mind was telling me Texas won. So I basically picked them both. So I can't lose situation for me. Next up, upset alerts. Let me take a sip here from the patented mug. This gives you some time to go down there, subscribe, get on your phone, and then search up Ian Fritts Show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well, where you are, and subscribe everywhere. Oh, man. If you're new here, how I do my upset alerts, I pick 6 games a week that are point spread 6 or more, so a touchdown or more. If it's less than that, I don't really quantify it as an upset alert game. Could be an upset, but not enough to talk about it for me to do upset alert on it. That is how I do the upsets. We've got 6 for you here. The top 2 games on the upset alerts last week in chances of them most likely to happen were Texas. They won in overtime. And then Arizona State to Houston. They lost outright. So this meter is booming right now. It is feeling it. I am feeling it. We are killing it in the upset alert segment right now this season. We're going to go from least to most likely upset on your screen here. Ole Miss at home against South Carolina, 13.5-point favorites. South Carolina coming off a heartbreaker against Alabama at home. Ole Miss coming off a just thriller against Oklahoma on the road. 2 straight road games for Ole Miss. They come back home. Night game. I think this is least likely, okay? And all 6 of these, we'll get to the picks here in a second, so you'll see what side I'm on for each of these. All 6 of these would not shock me if any of these happen on Saturday. So it was really hard to get my order down for this one. At number 5, I have Miami on the road at SMU. Look, It's a morning kick. If it was a night kick, this one might be bumped up to 3 or 2 possibly, but I'm not sure how rowdy that crowd is going to be. And for that reason, I have it at number 5. Again, would not shock me if this happens on Saturday morning. At number 4, I have Utah at home, -7.5. This is a night game. This is a 9:30 kickoff where I live, so it may be 1:30 in the morning when this game is over with. But you need to stay up for this football game because I'm just going to flat out say it. These next 4 games, Utah, I have Cincinnati winning this football game. Just going to say it right there. USC is my 3rd most likely upset. Night game, go Big Red, Nebraska, Dylan Raiola. Nebraska wins this football game. Texas Tech, -7.5 on the road. Manhattan, Kansas. Haven't won there since 2008. You know who was the best wide receiver there in 2008? Michael Crabtree. Yeah, that was the last time they won in Manhattan, Kansas. Okay? Not happening this year. Give me Kansas State to win that football game. And then Georgia Tech, it finally comes to an end. They lose on the road at NC State. Night game there as well. So if you're new to this, I just picked 4 outright upsets right there in the upset alert segment of this video. That is this kind of Saturday that we're going to get from start to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get into the picks. Just spoiled a couple of them, but we're going to roll through these, baby. We are going to roll through these. Again, 11-7 last weekend. We are still above 500 on the season, have not dipped below overall in terms of above 500 on the season ever in the history of this show. So tail these picks if you want to win some money. Memphis, give me Memphis -13.5 at Rice Food. Ohio State -20.5 at home. Penn State's abysmal. They stink. Give me Vanderbilt on the road +2.5 there. Give me SMU +10.5. Again, I said Miami probably likely to win that game, but I still like SMU +10.5. Houston -14.5. Not enough points. At home, West Virginia stinks. Not enough points. Louisville on the road against Virginia Tech. On the fence on this one, but I like Louisville -10.5. Indiana on the road at Maryland -21.5. They continue to just annihilate teams. Expect that same thing on Saturday. Same with Georgia, -7.5 at Florida. World's largest tailgate. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Go Dogs. Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. Boston College is one of the worst teams in all of college football. Again, I just told you Texas Tech is going to lose on Saturday. Give me Kansas State +7.5. Virginia at Cal. Virginia has won their last 4 games by 1 possession. They're the first ACC team to do that since 2019 Pitt. It comes to an end. And 3 of the 4 of those games were in overtime. It comes to an end. Cal gets it done at home. Kiwan Segalala-Kapele. Butchered your name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jaron. Jaron Kiwan Segalala-Kapele. Again, butchered it. But great player. I expect him to have a big day against Virginia on Saturday. Again, Ole Miss was my least likely upset in the upset alert segment. I have South Carolina +13.5 this weekend. It could be a little bit of a letdown situation for Ole Miss coming off the big win against Oklahoma. Give me Michigan +20.5, and then give me OU +3.5. Give me NC State +6.5, Nebraska +6.5, and Cincinnati +7.5. Those last 3, I think those teams are going to win outright. So, of course, I'm taking the points. They're going to give me points for the team that I think is going to win. I'll be here all day. I think we're going to have a big day in the picks this weekend. Just follow on all social media because I give out the picks there as well. Reminders, updates throughout the day of the picks. Follow on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Ian Fritts Show, and then subscribe here as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. That is the end of the Week 10 preview. Gonna be a fun weekend. Don't let anybody drag you to a pumpkin patch this weekend. I love you guys. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. 45-40, 45-50.